Is it the weather outside? No, I think it's these hot takes we've got rolling in. Here we go. Yo! What's up, everybody? It's our hot takes episode. Brian and Brenon here for Too Much Fantasy Football. How are we doing today, man?
I'm doing good. How about yourself, man?
Oh, come on. It's hot takes episode. You gotta give me something hot. Blow it up. Come on. Something.
All right. It's currently 99 degrees outside. Is that hot enough for you where I'm at?
Woo-hoo! It is hot enough for me. It's too hot.
Yeah.
We're not over here in the 80s right now, so not envious of your situation. But here we are, sitting on a Tuesday, waiting for some Brandon Ayuk trade news. And of course, we've got to bring you our hot takes. And can't wait any longer. Let's get them rolling. Boom! Here we go. Here we go. Now, folks, we're going to try and keep it manageable. We've got stuff to back up most of what we're saying here, but it's that time of the year. We've got to figure out what's going to go wild, what isn't. So we're going to slowly increase this meter a little bit with our hotter and hotter takes. But, Brendan, you want to start us off? What do you have as your first one?
Yeah, so my first take is Davante Adams will not be a top 15 wide receiver. So currently he's going at wide receiver, anywhere from wide receiver 10 to wide receiver 13. I haven't seen him fall past much further than that. I just feel like this is the year where it finally, Father Time finally catches up to him. And with quarterback play of Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, I think we're going to be really disappointed this year at Davante Adams. And I think he's going to be extremely frustrated this entire season. And the only thing that might save him is a trade to his old best friend in New York.
Yeah, I think he's definitely, everybody's hoping for that at this point. But this is a guy coming off, back-to-back 170 target seasons? He should see that target volume again. So I guess what's the pushback on that? Like, do you not think he's going to get that volume, or do you think even with it, it's still just going to fall down?
So let's just go through it. So I'm not going to count his first two seasons because it took him a little while to break out. But then when he had his breakout season, his third year in, he finished as wide receiver 8. And he went 14 and then 2, 24. But he missed quite a bit. He missed, it looks like, 4 games there. He finished as 1, 3, 3. And then last year he finished as 11. And he barely got by with that because he just had 2 standout games. But his targets have been for the past 2 seasons in Vegas were 180 targets and 175 targets. I think with them adding Brock Bowers, who is an elite tight end, I think he does eat into a little bit of the target share. I don't know if he'll get close to 100 receptions this year. He had 100 his first season in Vegas and he had 103 last season. I think in Father Time's just going to catch up to him. He's 31 years old. Like, he's not a young buck anymore. And I think this is where he finally starts to slow down a little bit. We'll see a little bit of regression this year with DeVonta.
Traditionally, even those elite receivers, that age 31 is a scary one. We saw Julio Jones just all of a sudden fall off. This just absolute elite receiver, and it just gone. So I'm right there with you. It's hard for me to push back on this one. This is a guy looking at my best ball exposure, very minimal. I've taken him in a few spots this year, and it's mainly been in small tournament formats, and it's just looking for that correlation there at the end of the season. So Davante Adams is not a guy that I want to bank on. As far as guys over the age of 31 to hit this mark or over the age of 30 to hit it, Davante Adams has done it. He did it last year. But to gamble on him doing it again, Vegas tends to take my money. So I feel like this is another situation where it's going to happen for you. Just touching on the ADP of some of these guys that are going around him. You feel comfortable with Olave, Ayuk, Collins, Mike Evans, all these guys that are going after him?
Yeah, so like guys like, Mike Evans is kind of like the toss-up too because he's a little older too, but like guys like Debo, Ayuk, if Ayuk stays in the situation, I think Marvin Harrison, Chris Olave, Drake London, Nico Collins, I think all those guys finish ahead of him. So that's where I stand at with him.
Last one, Malik Neighbors. Which one are you taking?
Man, after watching Malik Neighbors take a 4-piece and a soda in practice earlier, I don't know, but no, I think I take Malik Neighbors. I think they're gonna hyper target him to the max in New York.
I like that too. He's somebody I'm growing on too. I wasn't really into him at the beginning of the summer, but Just
Yeah.
Daniel Jones just gets me so excited, seeing him on Hard Knocks. How could you not? All right, my first guy I want to talk about is DeVonta Smith. DeVonta Smith will finish as a top 12 wide receiver. Now, for that happening, I have to think that A.J. Brown's getting hurt or he's finishing higher than that. Right now, looking at my projections, I think A.J. Brown is in line to be a top 5+ receiver this year. I think this Eagles team is absolutely just going to blow up, and I think that includes with DeVonta Smith. Over the last couple of years, their new offensive coordinator, they've got Kellen Moore, a guy who just came from the Chargers. We saw Keenan Allen blow up and have an absolute elite season before injury, smacked him. And then the year prior to that, we had CeeDee Lamb going crazy, running almost 54% of his routes from the slot position. So that's the money spot we see. Keenan Allen. Kellen Moore, we've seen him, what he can do with an offense. He can really get that like a high-flying, moving offense, but that slot position does so well for him and so much for that scheme. So DeVonta Smith, I think he's going to plug in that. A.J. Brown, I don't think we should just assume it's going to happen to Smith. If A.J. Brown goes into the slot, which we've seen him work as a larger slot before, he does decent numbers in that position. So I could be completely wrong on who's going to get the fed there, but one of these guys is, and I think DeVonta Smith is definitely one who should be. His slot percentages over the last few years, 9.9%, 16.4%, and last year, 24%. So if he makes another jump into that position, this guy, I'm excited. I really think because of this ambiguous wide receiver round of like number 2, we don't know who to grab right now. Where do you put you talked about Davante Adams. He's a guy I'm easily taking up behind DeVonta Smith. So that's why I think this guy can finish as a top 12 wide receiver.
I don't hate it necessarily. So his rookie year, he had 104 targets, and then his big breakout year, the season before last year, where he finished as wide receiver 10, he had 136 targets, 95 receptions. And then last year, he was wide receiver 20 with 112 targets, 81 receptions. I mean, if he just had 14 receptions, a few more yards there, I don't necessarily hate the take. We've seen it happen before, and I think with Kellen Moore's air raid type of offense, it's definitely possible. And I think him and A.J. Brown both could finish inside the top 10, just like we've seen Jaylen Waddle and Tyreek Hill both be a top 10 wide receiver. So if you're going to gamble on somebody like that, I think DeVonta Smith is a buy low. I have him at wide receiver 23, it looks like, on my rankings. So, yeah. So I think, if you're going to pick somebody to shoot for the ceiling of it, it's DeVonta Smith is definitely one of those guys that can definitely do it because we've seen him do it.
Some elite talent right there. I'm ready for it. Blow up. All right, give me number 2. What you got for us?
All right, so my spice meter is going up a little bit here, but I think Jayden Daniel finishes the top 4 quarterback for fantasy football. Now everyone's a little bit skeptical when you hear Jayden Daniels and you hear the other quarterbacks that are going ahead of him, which I get, but at the end of the day, this guy, when he was at LSU, he was a dual threat quarterback. Not only could he sling it, he could also run, and he was quick. The only thing that kind of scares me a little bit is he is tiny, compared to the size aspect of everything. He is. Let me check my stats here. He is. Hold on, folks. Sorry, 6'4", 210 pounds. So he is not a big guy by any means. But I just think with the weapons he has in Washington, he's got 2 really good wide receivers. He has a good receiving back. He has a good running back he can rely on. He's got old, reliable Zach Ertz back there catching passes as always. I think this guy can definitely finish as a top 4 quarterback.
So yeah, I think as far as guys that have a high ceiling, he's definitely there. The Russian quarterback, it's that low floor, or I'm sorry, the high floor is what you really it's sought after, but I think it's also that ceiling that is just kind of overlooked because, if this guy also proves he's like Kyler, who, like you said, he's got Cliff Kingsbury there who ran with Kyler as well. So if this guy can get it done between his arms and his legs, I don't see why he couldn't finish as a top 5 guy. He's Anthony Richardson, just a little skinnier. And we saw how Anthony Richardson held up, so he should be fine.
Yeah. With Kyler Murray, his rookie season, he would finish as quarterback 6 and then quarterback 3 and then quarterback 10 under Cliff Kingsbury. So I think Cliff Kingsbury definitely knows how to utilize these guys to the max. And so I think that's what we're going to see out of him. So with him going at quarterback 12, you're going to get a discount. I think he finishes past that. I think just me being a little bit spicy with it being saying top 4. I definitely think you'll definitely exceed his expectations at ADP, though, for sure.
Spicy, but I like it. It's what we're here for. Here for those hot takes. All right, my next one. I've got a little duo here. I think both of them will finish at top 12 at their position. And it's Trevor Lawrence and Christian Kirk. I know. We saw this one coming. Brian, we all figured this was going to happen. Nah, not by ADP. These guys are going way lower than I have them projected to go. Christian Kirk and Trevor Lawrence, we saw this the first year that Kirk came into Jacksonville. They lit it up. Kirk finished as the wide receiver 11. He had 84 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Why aren't we replicating that again? Calvin Ridley, the target hog last year, he's gone. He's moved on to, let's just say, greener pastures. But is Tennessee really that green? I don't know. Got the Titans there. But, yeah, we've got Gabe Davis came to town. So is he taking all the targets? Absolutely not. So Christian Kirk should have no problem feasting in this offense, just like he did before. Last year, he missed 5 games. He was the wide receiver 47, even with the 5 games missed last year. The vacated targets, we had 41% vacated targets. So coming into this, it's Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk who are just absolutely going to tear it up in the low to medium range of the passing. We've got the brand new rookie Brian Thomas Jr. It sounds like he's not quite working with the first team, but again, this is another field stretcher with Gabe Davis that can help open up even more for Christian Kirk. Really, I've kind of got him statted out, and it's very similar to what we had 2 years ago. I see him getting over that 1,100 yards, right around 8 touchdowns, because Evan Ingram, despite his body size, is not a red zone threat. I don't know why. He'd be one of the best tight ends in the league if he could just get 4 more touchdowns a season, So Christian Kirk, I think it's going to leave it to him. Oh, last year at a 20% target share. So we're saying all these vacated targets, and he still was working with that 20%. So that's just adding to the upside that this guy's going to give you. Where am I right?
So Trevor Lawrence, I can definitely see be a top 12. Like I have no issues with that. Like I think if everything goes right for him, like top 12 is there in his outcomes. Christian Kirk being top 12, like, boy, that's definitely spicy. I appreciate it. I have him as my wide receiver 30. I might be a little low. I might have to move up a little bit. Man, it's just tough to see if he stays healthy and he plays all 17 games. And Brian Thomas, takes a little bit of a slow start, and Gabe Davis is what we think Gabe Davis is. I do see the outcome of where Christian Kirk can be close to 12. I can definitely see him being very, very close. I'm really hesitant on stamping that approval of what you're believing in. I do see it though. If he does play the full 17 games and Brian Thomas gets that slow start, I can definitely see Christian Kirk being the reliable wide receiver that Trevor Lawrence leans on.
Yeah, just the amount of red zone targets that were thrown away because Calvin Ridley was the recipient of those targets. We have him coming back to Christian Kirk, a guy who only had 3 touchdowns last year. The other receivers that were around Christian Kirk as far as yardage, Myers, Reed, Christian Kirk, and Sutton, all had within less than 100 yards between the 4 of them. Myers had 8 touchdowns, Reed had 8, Sutton had 10, Kirk had 3. So I think we're going to see that regression come back to that touchdown, and it's going to bring him up. It's going to push him right over that cliff, man. Top 12 wide receiver, you're getting him way late. You're picking up in the wide receiver, I think 34 is where he's going right now.
Yeah, he's right around there. Yes. So I saw the stat lines for 2022. He finishes wide receiver 11. So I think if that's what you're replicating with the 8 touchdowns, 84 receptions, 100 with 1,100 receiving yards, then yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, I'm not saying this guy's top 6. I think he's going to squeak in on the back half of wide receiver 1s, but I think that he has just as good a shot as a lot of these people that we're taking as wide receiver 2s.
I definitely
give me that second, or I'm sorry. This is your spiciest take. This is
my spiciest take, man.
Water for everybody.
I think that Devin Singletary will be a top 12 running back for fantasy football this year. So I get it. Saquon's gone. They might have a new rookie running back named Tyrone Tracy, and they got in the 5th round. But when Devin Singletary took over for Houston, I mean, the dude was utilized like crazy. I mean, it wasn't even just the rushing aspect of it. He also had receiving aspect games that we didn't realize that he had in his bag. I just think with their whole aspect of what Brian Dable's focus is on that team, I definitely, we also saw in Hard Knocks, they broke it down. They said, what can we utilize in this free agency? And Devin Singletary is one of the guys they brought up saying like he was underutilized in Houston, and when he finally got onto the scene, he was everything they asked for and more. I just think with him going at, it looks like I have him in my rankings. I have him a little higher, but let me just check the normal rankings here of Fantasy Pros. He is currently going as running back 29. I definitely think he outperforms that ADP if he plays all 17 games or even just 15 games. I think he'll be very close to top 12.
Whew. Yikes. To bet on such a... Like, this team's not projected to do well. So it's always so hard for me to invest in the running backs. But yeah, like you said, he's going in the early 30s. Running back 33 is where I see here on Sleeper, right around the 9th round on most formats. So the investment's not much. You're probably grabbing this guy probably as running back 3, maybe 4 at this point in the draft. And that's if you grab the onesie positions. This could be running back 5 for you. So the investment's definitely not bad, but I don't see why... I mean, Daniel Jones, we've watched him throw some of those passes here early in training camp. Maybe we don't necessarily want to be putting the ball in his hands.
It's practice, all right? Everyone, it's practice. This is where you get all the bad throws out of the way.
That's right. That's what happened last year. He didn't have enough practice in, so he had to put him out on the field. But
he also had a terrible line.
Are you taking him or Javonte Williams?
I'm taking Devin Singletary.
Zach Moss.
I'm taking Devin Singletary.
Tony Pollard.
Taking Devin Singletary.
Zamir White.
Devin Singletary.
Oh my God, Ramondre.
Ramondre Stevenson?
Yeah,
no, I'm taking
Ramondre Johnson.
Oh. Yeah, no, I'm taking Ramondre Stevenson. I'm a big Ramondre stan, though.
I was gonna say there's two running backs on two very bad teams, so pick your poison. Yeah, I like Ramondre there for the pass catching ability, but Devin Singletary, I think I wouldn't mind putting him in a bucket with all those players we just named. I've got no problem taking any of those guys over each other. Brenon, spicy man.
It is.
A glass of milk after this.
That's all right.
Well, folks, if you're not grasping for the fridge right now after that take, hold your horses, because here we go. We're going with the Panthers here because why not? Let's take a running back take from the Panthers. Chuba Hubbard finishes as a top 12. I know, there we go. Listeners are gone. Top 12 for Chuba Hubbard. And here's why. Jonathan Brooks, plain and simple, he's coming off the ACL. Can he come back and he be ready and absolutely destroy? Of course he can. That's why I'm drafting him everywhere in best ball. But is there any reason for us to think that won't happen? Just recently, the head coach came out, said that he won't be playing in the preseason. They're expecting to see Jonathan Brooks come in week 3, week 4, somewhere in there, which that's not bad. Timetable-wise, it seems reasonable. But every time we see an ACL player, they take about 4 weeks for them to ramp them up. Put them out there for a few weeks, get them going. So we're talking 8 weeks before Jonathan Brooks is finally let loose. At that point, Chuba Hubbard will have a pretty nice share of this team. Last year, we saw him finish with four finishes above RB11. And this team was atrocious last year. We knew exactly what they were going to do. They were either going to run the ball or Bryce Young was going to go hold on to the ball for a while until they had to get rid of it. It was absolutely insane how bad this team is. So now we're talking about this offensive line making improvements. They spent a lot of money on a couple guards. They're bringing in wide receivers, so actual, not necessarily deep threats, but Deontay Johnson's going to bring in some eyes from the defense. So I think just between all of those things, and Jonathan Brooks just doesn't come back as ready as I think we hope he will, I think there's no reason to think that Chuba Hubbard can't run with this job for as long as he needs to. Now, the whole season, I think Jonathan Brooks will come back, and we will see him in the second half, and we're going to love him. But there's always slip-ups. Javonte Williams wasn't quite himself last year. Breece Hall was. So I just think at this point where you're taking Chuba Hubbard, after 3 weeks, if you get anything from him, it's gravy. Absolute gravy. But for 3 weeks, you're getting a guy, and you're getting a guy going into a team that the coach says, watch how stubborn I am when I run the ball. So I love that. And the guy catches the ball. He had 4 games where he caught over 5 passes. It's awesome. Absolutely awesome. Your turn.
I don't hate it. I don't necessarily hate it because it looks like after week 6, he became the primary running back for the Panthers. And obviously, they were just, kind of a shit show. No offense to the Panthers fans out there. But
Oh,
he
they know.
started getting, yeah, it was over 70% of the snap usage. I mean, this guy can do it all. Looks like he, averaged anywhere, looks like about 20 touches for the running game. And it looks like he got anywhere from, 2 to 5 catches a game. And we know what Dave Canales likes to do with his running back. He likes to utilize them to the fullest and makes them a part of the game plan. Jonathan Brooks, they said he's going to be ready by week 4. And so you're going to get Jonathan Brooks at a discount. And you're also going to get this guy at a discount too in Chuba Hubbard. He's currently running back 42. So if you do go, 0 RB strategy in your drafts, I definitely would be taking Chuba Hubbard a lot just because you just know you're going to get a stable usage out of him. And who knows, like you said, it could take Jonathan Brooks a little bit of time just to get used to, acclimated speed for the NFL. It's different from college to the NFL. I have a hard time seeing Chuba Hubbard at the end, like when it comes down to playoff time, being the guy. That's my only concern just because usually rookie running backs, that's when they start to glow up is the end of the year. Same with rookie wide receivers. So I just have a hard time seeing that, but I definitely could see him being like RB10 all the way till about week 8, week 9, and then just start to slowly diminish, just like we saw Adam Thielen, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not rooting for a Brooks, some kind of hiccup on his recovery, but ultimately that is what we would need for this to completely come to fruition the whole season. But like you said, running back 42, there's not much that you can guarantee, almost a full month at that point. So the price is great, folks. That's really where we're getting at.
He'll for sure outperform that ADP.
Look at Adam Thielen was completely untouched the second half of the season. Like we may see Chuba Hubbard, and he still finished as a wide receiver too because he had such a great first half of the season.
I agree.
All right, everybody, it's time. Grab your milk. We're out of the hot take. Hey, that was pretty smooth, wasn't it? Yeah, but it's hot takes, people. This is just a range of outcomes of what we think can happen. Is this really where we're putting our money? Not really, but it's something that it's not out of the realm of possibilities. And as we see at the end of every football season, wild shit happens. This is just some of the wild shit that we think is going to happen. But that's all we've got for you today. It's time to get out of here. At @too_much_Brian on Twitter, all over here on the YouTube page. Brenon, where you at? Where can they find you?
I'm FFA and BMilk on X, and then I'm also on the Fantasy Football Advice Network for Facebook group page. Also, we are hosting our first Too Much Fantasy Football draft. It's a chance that basically win $100. You go against me and Brian here. The catches, you just got to beat one of us in the 12-team league, 3 wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 flex, 1 defense, no kicker, 1 quarterback. So if you have a chance to, win a chance to play against us, comment below, say you're interested, and we'll shoot you the invite.
Can't wait to see y'all there. And of course, come check us out all over the new platform, Fantasy Football Advice Network. A lot of fun over there. I won't tell you, I can't spoil it, but we'll see y'all there.